Hey all, welcome back to a special bonus episode of Harrison Talks Pod. Joining me today to reminisce and talk about some tunes is my friend Nolan. Nolan, how's it going?
It's going good. How about yourself?
Going good. Nolan's my best friend from back home. We got a lot of memories together. And for this one, this is a segment I've wanted to do for a while. And we're going to talk about some songs from just from us growing up. I chose a bunch of tunes that we listened to together when we were hanging out back in the day. And yes, this will come out in July. We're recording in June. The parade for the Knicks was today, actually, and the draft will be coming up next week. So we don't know what happened, but we know the Mavericks have the number 9 pick, Nolan. So you can pretend to give me a reaction right now. Oh
Oh
my
my gosh.
God!
We traded up for the first pick? I can't believe it.
Wow! Wow, I wonder if Kyrie Irving will actually be on his way out now. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully everything goes well there. And we'll do a quick sports thing. You are a Mavericks fan. We actually haven't talked about it since then. Um, I cannot believe that there's actually a chance that Jalen Brunson is the biggest New York athlete since Derek Jeter. And I never thought I would be saying that. That's a big deal. 'Cause I was trying to
Yeah.
think like you got Mariano Rivera, you got Eli Manning. Um, I think this one's different though. Like even though Eli beat Tom Brady twice, and I just think it's basketball. It's different, and
Yeah, and with all the other sports in New York, a lot of them they're split with, hockey and um I know Brooklyn, they moved from New Jersey, but Brooklyn, I mean the Nets have always kind of been New Jersey's team, and a lot of their fans didn't consider them Brooklyn to be like a New York team. And that's just kind of the truth of it. New York, the Knicks are the only team in New York that you almost feel like the entire city gets around as like a whole. And I mean, watching these videos from their parade today, it's pretty obvious. I mean, it's insane.
I so as a Mavericks fan, how you feeling?
I'm upset with the Mavericks. They had a chance there. I think it was before his last season to sign him to extension, and from what I heard, he was going to say yes. But I, from what I remember, I think the Mavericks balked. And yeah, I'm a little salty about it. I've got no ill will towards Jalen Brunson. I just at the time it was hard to see how it was going to work with Jalen and Luca because both sort of need to be ball dominant, and it was going to be okay. One's going to have to like come off the bench, and it wasn't going to be Luca. But now that Luca's gone, Jalen's gone. I think a lot of Mavericks fans are sitting here, sitting like I don't have a whole lot of faith. I know we've made moves with who's going to call the shots, but it's it's tough for me. It's tough for me because I know we got Cooper Flag, but there's a lot of question marks on what we're going to do with rosters and what we're going to do with Kyrie. And then if we get rid of Kyrie, a lot of question marks about how do we build around Cooper. And that's probably not going to happen overnight. So I'm a little sour on basketball right now, but I'm trying to stay optimistic. It's kind of the life of being a Mavericks fan.
It's a life of the Western Conference, unless you're
Yeah.
maybe. I I mean, Spurs went to the finals, but the Thunder were really beat up. I bet the Thunder at full strength. Thunder at full strength were still best
Mm.
team in the league, and I fully expect the Mavericks to be in the playoffs next year. Not just the play-in, but I expect them to be actually in the playoffs with this draft pick, Cooper Flag. I'm gonna assume Kyrie Irving's there, but if not, then whatever piece they get for Kyrie Irving. And I bet that you get a first year head coach. Just not knowing Masai Ujiri, but Masai Ujiri has selected two first year coaches that are still in the league already. I think that's a legacy thing.
Yeah.
if you can say 10% of the head coaches were started by you, it's kind of a big deal. So that's what I expect, and yeah, I
Yeah.
just can't believe what Jalen Brunson did.
And I think the Mavs ownership after the whole Luca fumble, they have. I feel like they're in a spot where they have something to prove, and then they're not going. They're going to leave the basketball decisions to basketball people. Hopefully, but I think there's a lot of embarrassment over the reaction of Luca. I don't see how it was possible that everybody signed off and okayed that one, not thinking that the whole city would revolt, which they obviously did. So, hopefully Dumont, which I'm not a big fan of, but hopefully he takes a step back and lets basketball people make basketball decisions.
Dumont seems to be pretty hands off. As much as we don't like Mira Madison, Dumont seems I mean, he let the Luca trade happen.
Mm-hmm.
He let it happen. So he kind of seems like he's going to let the president do the president thing. I don't know how to transition this because we had to make a cut there. But let's get right into the songs. And we were talking about NBA basketball before we cut out just then. And the New York Knicks did a lot of New York media the past few days, and they were on Jimmy Fallon this past week, whenever it was, and they had Wu Tang Clan on there. Wu Tang Clan performed Bring the Ruckus, and they also performed Cream, 1993. And that's the first song I'm going to present to you. So, what do you think of when you think of Cream by Wu Tang Clan?
So yeah, they're a classic hip hop group that I got into a little bit later. I wasn't as aware. I knew some older people from older groups from the '90s, but I think around '07, '08, '09, somewhere in there, I really did a big deep dive on groups that came before my time, and yeah, it reminds me of going to like the record store, grabbing CDs to put in my CD book. Um, and I mean, yeah, Wu Tang, and that song in general kind of opened me up to all their side stuff. The solo projects, Liquid Swords, Only Built for Cuban Links. Yeah, so yeah, it's important to me.
And we already killed this anecdote because we talked about it off recording, but we went to the 20th anniversary of Only Built for Cuban Links, and and we were talking off camera about how it's so crazy that it was the 20th anniversary and we were young, and a 20th anniversary wouldn't seem that old anymore. So,
Mm,
no, we'll
yeah,
kind of leave it there. It was a small show. We'll include that too. It was like maybe 200 people, at the
which was
radio
which
room.
was which was awesome too, because a lot of times when you see these, you never know with a group like them. They might do an amphitheater, but the fact that we got to be in a small room and I don't know, we were probably like 25 feet away from the stage. It was just awesome seeing something like in such an intimate setting like that. It was really cool.
I don't remember too much. Like I remember the show. I remember the opener. They had a couple opening DJs. One of them got mad at the crowd because he was like, "You guys are boring." And I just remember being like, I don't know, play better music. I don't know, like, like, like,
Yeah,
like, like, like I perform music. Very rarely do I get on stage and I'm like, all right, you guys
it's
better
all,
clap. If
and it's
not, I'm
also
if
like the room is not here for you. I mean, I'm sorry. I hope to support small musicians and openers, but like you can't expect like a room of people that are here to see one thing to be excited for.
yeah.
You know,
But I remember
an
another DJ
opener.
got on and he was playing some old school hip hop, and we were digging that. I don't, anyways, it's
Yeah.
been a while. What's your first song for me?
I've got a song from 1999, and I first heard it off an instrumental in '02, and it was when Madden came out in '02, and it had Dante Culpepper on the cover, and I just remember hearing the instrumental because I guess Nintendo, I don't know if it was the technology or whatever at the time, but they couldn't have the lyrics or didn't have the capability to put the lyrics. I'm not sure, but I just remember hearing that and being like, "What is that?" And then probably like a year or two later, I realized it was Mathematics by Mos Def, and that song has always been one of the most catchy to me. What do you think when you hear about that?
Well, Madden 02 I remember quite fondly. That's interesting. I actually have a Madden connection for you later. Um, so I got into Most Def much later, like probably about the same time Eardrum came out in 2007, and
Mm-hmm.
was which is Tyler Quali, and was listening to a lot of Black Star, which became just one of my favorite hip hop albums. And then it was going back and listening to older Most Def albums, Black on Both Sides, and right, yeah, you know what? And I wasn't thinking Madden until you mentioned it. That's probably the first memory that I would have. But just in general, Most Def just became like one of my favorite artists. Like just while I was in high school.
Yeah.
Still, actually, it's crazy. I was on a group chat the other day talking about who are the best rappers slash actors, and I didn't even include Mos Def because there's so many of them. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's just so many of them when you start really thinking
Yeah,
about it.
he was in a movie that my dad showed me about like the one I think the first black doctor to do a heart transplant or something like that. And this is I probably got into Mos Def about the same time as you, but I just kind of knew of that song. But yeah, my dad had like a DVD, and I saw on the front it said Mos Def, and I was like, oh wow, I did not know he got into acting like that, but very interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Yassine Bey. I guess we shouldn't dead name him.
Yeah.
I don't know what he goes by now. He was in a West Side Gun. Well, actually, that was like 4 years ago. Have you heard that song? By
Mm-mm.
I'll send it to you. I've been getting really into the whole Griselda. That group, that whole collective out of New York is really really cool. Anyways,
Yeah.
number two for me. We're gonna shift. We're actually gonna go to a song that I don't like, but I can remember you singing it all the time. So, what do you think of when you think of the 2005 Fallout Boy song "Sugar We're Going Down"?
I mainly think of trying to fit in. It was like,
Okay.
I think that was my freshman year of high school. And I guess it's one of those songs where I kind of got into it when it came out because everybody else was getting into it. And I'll be honest, when I hear it now, I'll still, like at a bar or something, I'll still probably sing along. Not my favorite group, but it's one of those groups that kind of got me by a stranglehold. I think it was a lot of it had to do with other people that I was hanging out with. Like, I mean, they definitely had that moment when they came out with that album. So, yeah, I kind of just got lost in that moment in time, and yeah, it reminds me of like freshman year of high school.
It's a catchy song. It's catchy, but I can
Yeah.
just remember being with you and being like, you gotta sing a different part of the song.
Mhm.
Because I think you're probably like me. You get those earworms where you're
Yeah.
just singing the same part in your head over and over again.
Oh
So
yeah, I do that constantly. I'll find myself singing a
yeah,
song all day, and it's not even a song that I necessarily like, but if something gets stuck in my head, it's like, here we go. This is
yeah,
gonna be a 2 day thing.
yeah. Usually, what I do is just listen to it. If
Yeah.
because right now it's for some reason right now the earworm that I have is 16 by it's Rick Ross, but it has Andre 3000 featured on it, and I keep replaying that version, and it's amazing. It's a song that I really like,
Hmm.
but I'm like, I need to get it out of my mind, so I just need to like listen to it, put it away.
Yeah.
All right, what's your next one?
So I've got one, and I'll elaborate after I get your opinion on it. But it's something that I can pinpoint an exact time, place, night, and everything. And we were hanging out that night. But I've got "Good Morning" by Kanye in '07. Um, so yeah,
I can remember like having it be your alarm for a long time after I made that
yeah.
suggestion. Is that what comes to your mind? Because I mostly avoided Kanye for this list, which is crazy because Kanye was such a big part of us growing up,
Mhm.
but now he's a Nazi, so it's like
Yeah, I didn't go too heavy with him for sure, but when I was looking at the list and kind of like the whole idea of this, I was trying to think of something where I can pinpoint an exact moment when I first heard it, and for me, it was we were at on the campus of Webster, and there was like a party or something, a house party somewhere, and I remember it being, I think it says '07, but I could have swore that maybe I just didn't listen to that album until like a year after it came out. But I just remember being at a house party, which is weird because I listened to the College Dropout immediately when that came out. But maybe I thought for some reason that they were like doing like, oh, this is a new album, we're gonna play it. But I just remember hearing it and being like, okay, I haven't heard this. Maybe I was a year late to it, but I just remember being like, okay, okay. And it had like that Jay Z sample. And I was like, okay, I know the Jay Z sample. And it just, for whatever reason, that night just sticks with me. I can remember the living room and everywhere in Webster Groves over there in Marlboro, behind the Quick Trip. So it's just, that one always stuck to my mind. So I thought it would be a good one to throw on the list because it's one of the few songs where I could actually remember the first time I heard it and be like, oh, this is where I was.
yeah, might be the first time. I remember a lot, like in that period of time of listening to albums that had like come out or had come out like a year before that. Uh,
Mhm.
so, oh, cool.
Yeah, I probably just didn't have a chance to dive deep on it because but yeah, I remember hearing it at a party and being like, okay, yep, this is awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. I'm gonna jump ahead to 2016, and this one is just kind of random, but I do remember us talking about it at some point. What do you think of when you think of the song "Why You Always Hating" by YG? Drake's. What is it? Kamaya. Kamaya. Yeah.
Uh, I think about learning what the term "bool" meant. um, for that, yeah, I got into YG for a little bit, not a lot. I remember listening to that album. That song I played a little bit. I for sure did, but there was some other ones I played more. But yeah, I mean, I just kind of more so remember like that time. I was in the gym, and it was just kind of one of those albums, that song and other songs. But it was, I just remember being like, okay, this is part of like a gym playlist, and so I would always be like, okay, some YG when I'm lifting weights. So other than that, yeah, I didn't listen to it a whole lot after that, but it definitely that and yeah, that era, I definitely can recall and pull some memories from.
Yeah, and we're starting slow, right? Like you're gonna find that we're gonna very quickly get into this nostalgia part. But I thought
Mhm.
that was a fun I think about going out sometimes, like I can't like hearing it out at certain places. Yeah, just YG is
Yeah,
fun. It's a fun tune.
yeah, and my favorite, like one of my favorite genres is like the old West Coast G funk, and while it's not super true to that style, there was elements from that song and other songs that he come out with that year that I was like, okay, I can hear a little bit of like not the most in your face G funk, but I can hear a little bit of influences that he took from that album. So I was always like, okay, well if this has that similar sound, like I can get down with this.
Song number three, what you got?
I've got one that I remember hearing when I was hanging out with some of your friends, and I became friends with them. But like probably right before high school, maybe going into high school. But Clint Eastwood by the Gorillaz, '01. I have memories of just a lot of your friends and our friends just singing that song over and over again.
Oh, so many memories.
Yeah,
So many memories.
yeah,
Uh, just because gorillas, I guess they're coming back, right? I guess they're
yeah.
coming back, right?
I think so. Yeah,
It just spans, I guess, elementary school, but middle school, high school, Plastic Beach. it was like my sophomore year of college. Clint Eastwood randomly, like the first thing that popped in my mind is I can remember being in middle school gym class and we were playing. I don't know what you call it. It's indoor hockey without skates. I don't know. It's
Like floor hockey. Yeah.
like my middle school gym teachers, I'm sure were great, but they were constantly just making up like, all right, guys, you can play mat ball or you can sit over on the bleachers and do. You got cramps? I don't know. Like
Matt ball. Oh,
like
wow.
yeah, that's all we did. Like it never felt like we ever did anything in those classes, but not. It's not like it really mattered. It was middle school gym class. But I can remember listening to like Clint Eastwood. I remember listening to like like the not censored Right Zur by Chingy, or like the uncensored version of 50 Cent. Like
Yeah.
songs that the middle school teachers should have been paying more attention to. You know,
Yeah.
like but
I,
but and we
I,
knew all the songs, but
yeah, I just have vivid memories, whether it's like Cosmic Bowling, with the video screens where they play the music videos. But I think with the Gorillas, what sticks out to me is their animation style and music videos were always like kind of the same, and it was just like that was so unique at the time and really cool, and it could easily attract people our age, be like, oh wow, that's awesome. It's a little edgy, but it's just that the Gorillas just stick out for me. I mean, I had to put them on the list because I don't know if I could cover that era of time without mentioning them at least once.
yeah, that did not pop up from me, and it's like as we go through it, there's gonna be so many more songs that
Oh,
I'm like, oh yeah, like I should have included that. All right, we're gonna get really into it now
all
because
right, let's
my
go.
next song for you is what I think might be the best ending track of any album ever. And it has one of the most iconic ending chords for any song of any album ever. And I am talking about A Day in the Life by the Beatles, 1967, Sergeant Pepper. And it's not hyperbole. I mean, it is hyperbole, but I really believe that it's one of the best final tracks of any album ever.
I agree. I did not put any Beatles on there. I wish I did because a lot of people know that's one of the most important bands to me. But it's so cool because you think when you listen to the album, you think the album's over. If you're just giving it a blind listen based on the Sgt. Pepper's outro, so like, okay, the album's over, and then all of a sudden they drop one of the most important songs of that entire album, and it's one of the most important albums in my opinion as far as changing the landscape of music in the 60s. That album really shifted music the way I think of rock, from almost like a diner style, like not very edgy. And it kind of shifted rock into like, hey, we're going into like the flower power, um, you know, free will type, era. And to me, yeah, I mean, it's got three different sections. Each section is kind of different. Each John tells the story, Paul tells the middle story, and then John finishes it. And the lyrics are deep. It's one of my favorite songs. I love it. That's a great pick. And it just reminds me of being on like a road trips with my parents. My dad was a big Beatles fan, so I just remember listening to that in the car and falling in love with it. That's a home run pick in my opinion.
It's I picked I had two Beatles songs for us. Sergeant Pepper is it's your favorite Beatles album,
I
right?
I have a hard time doing favorites. I'd say on any given day, I'd say yes, but then I could easily switch to the White Album or Abbey Road or whatever. So, but I'd say for the most part, I think it's the most iconic to me. Just the cover art and everything. It was such a cultural movement. I've asked a lot of people our parents' age just like what it meant, and a lot of them will tell me like we had no idea what was going on when they released it. It was just a completely out of left field thing, and it worked. So yeah, it's super important to me. Really important to me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I do include my favorite Beatles album later on, so we'll circle back
Okay.
to that. What's your next song?
I've got Pyramids by Frank Ocean, 2012.
That's an interesting pick. That's an interesting one. I can remember this. This is interesting because this is personal to me and you, which was the goal of this
Mhm.
episode. 2020, like that was a period where I was finishing up school and we weren't really hanging out that much.
Yep.
Yeah, we had a period of time, and then after I was not engaged and single once again, I we start we like pretty much just picked up right where we left things off. It was like
Yeah.
it was like nothing ever happened, right?
Yep.
So I remember listening to a lot of Frank Ocean just finishing up school, and I included a lot from this era because this was a point of time where it was like I had no idea what was going on. Like I was it was like the first time where I was finishing school and like up to that point everything was kind of planned out. You know, it was like go to high school, go to college, but now you don't got a job and it's like that's kind of what I think of. Like I can remember listening to that album a lot just in my room, whether I was applying for jobs or
Mhm.
studying or yeah, and I think you're more of a Frank Ocean fan than me. I like I'm a big Frank Ocean fan, but I think it's more of that I just really like one of his albums. So
Mhm.
you want to include anything for Frank
Yeah.
Ocean?
Yeah, for me, so I think my intro was right when we still kind of were hanging out. My intro was listening to his Nostalgia Ultra, and only reason I knew about that was because of Tyler the Creator and Odd Future. And I kind of dived. I remember diving into Nostalgia Ultra, being okay, what is this? And then it was like maybe a year later that Channel Orange came out, and it was just one of those things where I can remember the summer, the people I was hanging out with, going to the pool, not having a lot of that was in that spot in your life where I didn't have a whole lot of responsibilities. You're kind of paying rent with it, living with a couple people just to make ends meet and having a good time. And it just that album just sort of became like a summer album
Yeah.
that I won't forget about. And the fact that the song is kind of split up in two, where it starts off slow and then it kind of turns into more of a weird electronic guitar, like it's hard to describe, but yeah, I mean, I know John Mayer was on the video, and I don't know if he was credited in the actual song, but just watching just that whole song and that album to me was like it just brings me back to a certain space and time where I can remember exactly what I was doing.
Yeah, it really does. And I did not include any Odd Future, any Tyler Creator for this, but I mean, yeah, when it comes to Tyler Creator, that's my I mean, he has to be in my top five, not just like musical artists, but like artists of like the last 10, 15, going on 20 years for me.
Yeah.
Actually, this summer I'm going to do a whole episode on Tyler the Creator because he has 9 albums now, and I have a lot of things to say about that man. So you inspired me. I'm gonna skip ahead one and circle back because you did 2012. Let's do 2013 when we were hanging out. Now 2013, I got a couple on here, but it's a big deal.
Hmm.
This one, there's so many I could have chose for this, but the sample is Red Clay by Freddie Hubbard, which is also used on A Tribe Called Quest, Sucka, you know
Yeah.
Sucka, okay? And if you haven't figured it out by now, the song I'm talking is Nana by Chance the Rapper featuring Action Bronson. 2013. I could have chosen any track off Acid Rap. I could have chosen any of them, but there's many reasons why I would choose this one in particular. Go ahead. Go ahead. We got a lot for this one, so
I could not believe that I did not think of anything from acid rap. Wow, that that's another. There's like I probably have like a couple songs on my list that are like from albums that took over an entire year for me, and it was just like an entire year. Me, my friends, and I just out of nowhere, just jamming and singing. That one, man, like I mean, the whole thing is just front to back, whether it's the Gambino song or whatever. But like I remember like the Bronson verse, you know, and then it was like what a year later, I stuck a photo with him at Bonnaroo when we went, or that you were with. Were you with me that year, or was that? Did you come the year later? The
It,
year
it was
within
two. It was 2 years after twenty
Okay,
fifteen. Yeah.
I all my Bonners kind of run together. I have a hard time with that sometimes because when you do it like 4 or 5 years in a row, it's like sometimes everything just like I don't remember who I was with at the time, but I just remember that. And yeah, I remember being like, oh my gosh, Jackson Bronson, like quick selfie. I was like, oh, that's awesome. But oh man, that album is so important when it comes to hip hop and experimental hip hop, and just you could kind of relate with him too when it came out because we're near the same age as him, and he's talking in that whole album. The themes are stuff that we people our age can kind of relate with, you know. And so that, yeah, that I love that pick
Like I said, I could have chosen literally any. It's not favorite song is my favorite song
with
on
Gambino. Yeah,
on that album. And actually, I'll
yeah,
just share. I'll just share this anecdote on here because I'll never get a chance to share it on my show ever. Um, when coloring when no, not coloring book, whatever, no problems was on that
Chance
mixtape.
three.
Right, right. Like he did a show in St. Louis, and I knew this girl. Never, I never dated her, but I just knew this girl, who I guess she had money, but she was always getting backstage to places. She was always getting backstage passes. So she got backstage pass to this. She got to meet Chance the Rapper, talk with him, get all the Snapchat pictures with him. Like, wow. And I was talking to her next day about it, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm just the biggest Chance the Rapper fan. No Problems is my favorite song." And I was telling her that my favorite song is favorite song off Acid Rap, and she was like, "I haven't heard of that." And I was like, "Oh, how can you be the biggest Chance the Rapper fan,
No,
but
I don't buy that.
like not not listen to it, but not even hear about it, not even
Yeah,
hear about it? Like that
that's
would
a
be
big one.
like that would be like that'd be like me being like, I am the biggest Beatles fan in the world, and then you were like, yeah, the White Album's crazy, and I would be like,
What's that?
the White Album,
Yeah, that's crazy.
Abbey
I
Road.
mean that. Yeah, that's that's insane to say that you're a fan. You could say you're like a moderate fan, or you're yeah, but that I mean that one
I,
is big.
I had no problem with it, and like she got to meet the guy, so I mean
Yeah,
that's more than what I've ever done, but yeah, at least hear about it.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, what's your next one? What's your next one? Yeah.
I'm gonna skip one and stay kind of close to that. I'm gonna go with "Thuggin" by Freddie Gibbs, 2014, off the album Pinata.
Well, Freddie Gibbs just did his birthday show at Bonnaroo this year, which is crazy
And
because
we were there.
he looks the exact same as when we saw him. We saw his birthday show in 2015,
Yep.
11 years ago, which makes sense because the festival and the birthday happened at the same time. But it's pretty cool. He was on a much bigger stage, but when we saw him in 2015, he brought out Chance the Rapper. So
Yep.
everything's all connected with this. Um, Suggin, Suggin. Man, I'm kind of cheating on this, so I just want to talk about Pinata. Um, you know,
Matt Lib.
y-
Uh,
yeah. Duggan don't have many like particular memories of this one besides just listening to the whole album, rolling around. If you had chose like High or Lakers, I'd have a little bit more about that. But Pinata was an album where I really liked it, but Freddie Gibbs was new to me, and I was trying to figure out, is he a good rapper, or is this like, if you put me on a Madlib album, it's gonna
He can make it sound
sound
good.
it's gonna sound decent. It's gonna
You- We're,
sound
we're
okay.
we're kind of in the same boat. So when that album came out, I've heard of Freddie Gibbs, but never really listened to him. I had been big into listening to YouTube, like album reviewers at the time, and a lot of them would put out like their top, I don't know, 20 albums of the year. And a lot of times I would go through, and this is going to come back to another one of my picks later, but a lot of them I would be like, okay, here's something that people that I respect are talking about. I'm going to give it a listen. I gave it a listen. I listened to that album a lot. And then I remember the Bonnaroo lineup dropping, and I just remember, okay, I'm going to get to see him. I'm going to really step on it. And yeah, he at that show he had like he sat on the end of the stage and opened up a thing of like tequila, and it was like it's my birthday, and it was that's just yeah. I kind of agree that it's not necessarily that song, but it was the album. But I decided to pick a song that I liked, and I think it was one of the first songs on the album. But I just remember that, and I wouldn't say Freddie is the best rapper, but I think when you combined him with Madlib, it was just okay. This is something that works for me a lot, and he's
He
far from the worst rapper.
he
So
got he got no. I think he after future albums came out, he solidified that, or it got
yeah.
better, because I can remember exactly where I was the first time I listened to his first album with The Alchemist, and being
Oh yeah.
like, man, he's rapping his ass off,
hmm
he like. So I
And he's not the most technical, but it just works. You
yeah
know, when you have the right producer, it just works.
yeah, I love that show. Do people still drink Patron? Do people still? I don't
I
know.
haven't, I haven't in a while, but if I came across it, I probably wouldn't say no.
Okay, because yeah, that's what I remember. Like he was obviously drunk, high, but it was fun. It was the second to last show on the last day of Bonnaroo. It was pretty low key. All right, that was a great pick. My next one for you, 2010 random one. What do you think about when you think of "Sure Thing" by Miguel?
Mm, I'm not. If I heard it, it might do something. I'm not the biggest Miguel. I know a couple. Like I think of Adorno when I think of
Okay,
Miguel,
Dorn. Okay.
but I'll be honest. I never really dove big into his catalog, so I don't have much to say on that. Sorry to
No,
break
well,
the.
I bring it up because when I think of like this song or Adorn, I think about being at at your apartment, probably like 2013, 2012, 2014, whenever,
Mhm.
and it was like one of those songs that would like come on when people are drinking or whatever, and um, it's Miguel, so it's one where you listen to it, you get in your feelings, you you,
Give me
you,
a
you,
slow jam about love.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you text that girl you're thinking about. Yeah,
yeah.
so it's a song that I thought about because I thought about being at your apartment when listening to it. So
Mhm.
r- r-
Yeah, I don't have much on that. I do love the song Adorn, but I'm not very deep when it comes to Miguel. Maybe some
me neither.
songs with him as a feature, but I mean it definitely brings me to a certain time, which is awesome. You know, like I definitely buy into that exact like 13, 14, that range of years, and yeah, I can remember who I was hanging out with and what we were doing and everything. So yeah.
Let's keep rolling. What you got?
So I got one. I don't know if you're gonna have this, but I've got General Patton from 2010, Big Boy.
It was that album was on my alternates.
Yeah,
I
yeah, oh yeah.
I remember having the vinyl and listening to the vinyl just over and over again. That album was great. I I did not listen to a lot of Big Boy's second solo album, but that first solo album, I mean, a few different road trips. I can remember listening to it when I used to actually drive places far away. Uh, and yeah, it's just I can remember being in college, maybe it was us hanging out, and I was living under the stairs at that apartment, as you can remember. I didn't even have a room where I was, but I had tons of vinyl at the time. Probably still have it at my sister's house somewhere, and uh, just don't remember that one. Well, actually, no, I do. It's one of the harder tunes on there. I think we could put together a whole playlist of like songs that get us pumped up. So, yeah, it's mostly like just listening to that vinyl and yeah, us hanging out together during that time.
I remember getting for whatever reason, I remember us going to Hula Hands one night. I think in Brentwood was there one there,
Oh yeah.
and I for some reason I just remember pulling in or out of the parking lot. I can't remember, but just we were both just blasted. We were both just like we were one of those like windows up in the car. Just we were both going crazy. Like this is because was it Big Boy's first solo album? It may
Mhm.
have been. If he had something before, I don't know, but it was just kind of it's awesome because it was like Andre 3000 hadn't done much when he left Outcast, and still really hasn't besides a couple features. But it was kind of like, okay, we finally got something that has to do with Outcast that's hip hop related. This is awesome, and I'll never forget that one.
Yeah, that is so crazy. Yeah. Hula Hands in Brentwood used to be a spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It used to be like that's getting into it too much, but I can't believe like they would just let people drive home after that, like after leaving that place
And those
because that happy hour used to
they
be
were
crazy.
huge.
Yeah, and yeah, I used to go there quite often. Basically, I used to work right next to there. Like we just had like a couple work things and whatever. That is true. I kind of do remember that. So my next one, I had to choose something with chili peppers. I had to choose something with red chili peppers. So there's so many I could have chose here. Let's just do Californication, 1999. Uh, and it expands until today. I mean, give me an anecdote. I don't know.
So my so when I was kind of getting into music, like I said earlier, getting cognitive, like really diving in. It was probably around that 97, 98, 99 era part of you know. Um, and I remember going into my sister's CD book and like just stealing her CDs, and I think she cared at the time. I don't think she cares now, but I think she was more so like, "Oh, you stole my CD, but at least you're listening to some good music that I like." And that was also like a very big like music video era where everything was in like TRL. When MTV, you could turn it on, it was just music videos nonstop. And I have memories of like PlayStation 2 graphics for their music video and just that really chill California rock vibe. Red Hot Chili Peppers are one of my first favorite rock bands, and I still put them up there. I don't listen to them as much as I used to, but they'll always. I mean, I remember actually going to buy that album, and I just remember the swimming pool on the cover of the album full of like I guess lava or red water or whatever. But that one really brings me back to like, okay, I'm getting into music. I'm getting to that age where I like music, and this is what's big on the radio. This is what's big on rock radio, and yeah, I mean that's great. That's awesome. That brings me back to like I don't know third grade, whatever. That yeah, I love that.
It takes me back to, I mean, elementary school, but also like high school. Summer, it's hot, driving around. You got no like no freon in my AC, like that. And then I'm so happy we got to see him live once. Like we saw him live the
Yeah,
summer before I left for Thailand,
and
and
it was awesome. It was
yeah, it was
awesome.
awesome. And I think at the time, I still think of it now. It's like I can't believe it took us that long to actually see Red Chili Peppers. We weren't gonna miss it because we saw it at a festival, so we weren't gonna miss
Yeah,
that show. Uh,
they tour a lot, and I'm surprised for the amount of shows that I went to in St. Louis. I am very surprised I had never like landed on a Chili Peppers tour date. Just never happened. And so yeah, when we saw them there, I was like, this is gonna be a great night. Like whatever we see before and after, you know how it is. It's a grind there. You seeing like 7, 8 shows in a row, and I just remember being there, and I turned around, and some girl behind me was like, "Yeah, this is awesome! Like this is awesome!" I was just like, "Yeah, it is."
yeah, yeah. So, all right. What you got next?
Okay. I do have one that I just wrote down. I'll throw that maybe on like an honorable mentions at the end. Um, but I'm gonna go with another video game related one. It's not one of my favorite songs, but it reminds me of sitting in the couch in the basement. This is Public Enemy. By the time I get to Arizona, it was on the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 soundtrack
Oh
from
man,
'91.
oh man. I haven't thought of that in so long.
Yeah.
That was the original Pro Skater soundtrack.
Uh, 4
Oh, it was on four.
from
Okay, it was on four.
Yeah, the O2 game, and obviously they had a bunch of like classics on there. I think the songs from '91, but I mean, it just memories of being on the couch with the
Man,
joystick.
man, I didn't choose anything from Pro Skater. That was a great idea. And they remade Pro Skater 3 and 4 last
Mhm.
year, but they took out it's time trials for Pro Skater 4. It's no longer like you skate around in the open world. So I never bought it because Pro Skater 4 was cool because you actually skate around and
Just mess around.
find
You didn't have to do any like yeah. You could
right,
just.
right.
I mean, we spent hours going over that Chicago bridge for with. I mean, we didn't have to do anything, but we would turn on slow motion and no gravity, and we would just go over that Chicago bridge over and over and over again.
Right. I mean, when I think of this song, I think of Pro Skater 4, and Pro Skater 4 is probably the only game I've 100%ed multiple times. Like, actually did every goal, every pro goal,
Mhm.
everything in it multiple times. Just played it over and over again. It was certainly a time. I talk about other podcasts all the time of, back in the day you whatever game you had, you played it. You rented a game for the week. That's the game you had. You played it. So yeah, a lot of it was just messing around. And like in Chicago, we would do backflips off the bridge, where we'd turn on the high gravity and do flips, or we
Sometimes you'd
do
have
like
Django Fett and you do the rocket back.
yeah, and I had different ways of like getting out of bounds in that map. I would do I would just ride like I would sit on the trucks that they would have going around the world, and I would just do flatland tricks and just have it just roll around.
Yeah.
So many memories of just very rarely am I playing a game now where I'm just messing around, like not doing anything, but that's in essence the best type of gaming is just when you're just having fun like that. So
And then, yeah, at the end of the day, it's Public Enemy. I mean, legendary. like,
yeah, oh yeah, sure, sure.
oh, yeah.
And Pro Skater should be owed so much as like a gateway to
To
that.
me.
We've talked whether it's football and like Taylor Swift, or whether it's hip hop music. We don't care how people get to the destination. Like, I don't care if a video game gets you interested in a band that I like.
Yeah.
You like the band that I like? That's cool. That's awesome, you know?
Mhm.
Or oh, Taylor Swift got you watching football. Dude,
Right.
it's so crazy. Like I have I have like these Australian teachers that I follow, and they all have like their Chiefs cap because they're all like they're big Taylor Swift fans. But
It's fun.
yeah,
It's like who cares why you like something? If something can help you get into something, uh, just people need to step back and just be like, hey, who cares? Like, if you like it for this reason or that reason, at least it got you into something, you know.
but I think like is Travis Kelsey like the most popular football player like ever? Because like there was never a time where like I would see a random Australian teacher wearing like a Rams cap or like a or a I don't even know like it's the international fame that it's brought. It's
Yeah,
outside
I
of
mean,
football.
he was big in football circles, but I mean, love it or hate it, I don't really care either way. But Taylor Swift is one of the biggest forces out right now, and so I mean, she can bring in so much revenue, so many eyeballs, and it's worked. And yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's cool. A
Yeah,
lot of people, a lot of girls, I'll watch games with, and they'll be like, there's Taylor." I'm like, "Cool. Well, at least you're watching the game. You know, this is fun."
yeah. The Knicks though Taylor Swift. The Knicks. I mean, she's from Reading, Pennsylvania, and
She's an
Travis
Eagles
Kelsey
fan.
is a Cavs fan. I mean, she was literally at the Cavs Knicks series
She was
supporting
supporting
Travis Kelsey.
Travis, not the Cavs. Even though she was clapping for the Cavs, supporting her husband.
Yeah,
Or
which is
soon to
fine.
be.
Where it's like yes, if you're supporting your husband, yes, but then it's like the Knicks, like because like
I
aren't
think.
you a Sixers?
I mean, there are videos of her being at Knicks games because she's lived in New York for a while. There's videos of her being at Knicks games for over 15 years. I
I
don't know.
I understand, and
I think Taylor's someone who just likes to be there. You know.
I understand, and she has friends that are New York fans, and hey, she lives in Rhode Island, I think, so there's no
Yeah.
there's there's
Well,
there, there's no teams there.
she lives
Cool.
in a lot of places.
Another artist, I think I'm gonna do a whole episode on at some point, and we gotta get a little sad. I chose Spanish Joint by D'Angelo, 2000, off
Rest in peace.
off Voodoo, which
Mhm.
in my opinion, is one of the best produced albums of all time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh man, that song. Just beautiful instrumentals. I did Uber for about a year and a half full time, and man, when I would play some D'Angelo and pick some people up, it would be like, okay, let's go, let's vibe. And I always loved it when someone immediately knew because he is mainstream, but a lot of people, he's almost not mainstream. If you know what I'm saying, like he had a moment where he was very public and people knew him, but he obviously had his issues and he fell off a lot of, but not, yeah, but oh my goodness, yeah, Spanish Joint, beautiful song. I love it. Anything D'Angelo, I'm a sucker for. So yeah,
Yeah.
it brings me back to Shocker Bonnaroo, getting to see him in the second row. Awesome, awesome experience.
Well, we got to see him in 2015, and we could have never imagined that would be his last major tour that he did. He did shows after that, but he never toured again and was never able to tour again. Um,
It almost doesn't surprise me though, because I mean, he went off the face of the earth before that. That was like his big like comeback.
yeah,
And then I guess someone who deals with the personal demons that he dealt with, it doesn't surprise you that after like he did that couple year run where he kind of was back in the eye, it doesn't surprise me that he like whether it was taking care of handling his business or whatever he had to do or just being like he's one of those artists to me that are like they have like a lore to them because of how seclusive they are. Almost like a Frank Ocean. You don't see a lot of them, so when you do see them and they're in the public light, you're like, oh wow, like take advantage of it.
we did. We
Yeah.
certainly did, and even just this past month, is it Blue Note that's California? Somewhere in California, they did a show with Chris Dave on drums, Pino Palladino on bass, Isaiah Sharkey on guitar. That's the exact rhythm section we saw play with D'Angelo. And talk about just a heavy, heavy lineup. Is like, I mean, I was almost as excited to see Pino Palladino as I was to see D'Angelo when we saw him.
Yeah.
It
Oh yeah.
just,
He was part of the John Mayer trio, right?
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
I've never gotten to see him before. I've gotten to see the other two members of John Mayer Trio, but I never got to see Pino, so it was super cool. All right, let's keep it rolling. What's your next song?
I'm gonna go with one that's a little out of left field. This is an artist that I didn't necessarily know of until we saw him, but this is when we went to Minnesota. That whole festival was put on by Rhymesayers, and the one I'm going with is Barbreaker by Prof 2015. I remember seeing him on stage and seeing the energy that that dude brought, and then going home and listening to his catalog, watching his music videos, and be like, this guy is unhinged. And honestly, in my opinion, anything with rhyme sayers, you can't really go wrong with.
Yeah, yeah. I don't have much else to add to that. Right, right. So in 2015, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
We saw tons of shows in 2015, right?
Mm-hmm.
2015, Memorial Day weekend, we went to Minneapolis to
Up
whatever.
uptown, which is down south.
Right, and had a great time. Neither of us knew how cool Minneapolis is. Minneapolis is a super
Oh,
cool city. Like,
awesome city, yeah,
I can't believe the propaganda that comes out of there. Like, no, it's I'm sure there's bad areas, but no, it's a nice
yeah.
place. Uh, so yeah, that was a great weekend. We almost didn't go uh, because um, I didn't pay for it, obviously, but we got sent fake tickets, which I never
Yeah,
paid for.
I forgot about that.
But we ended up still going and having a blast. It was pretty hot that day, but it's just a 1 day, festival. Go all out. It's all good. And yeah, Prof is actually one of the artists that I forgot about from that day, given that I there's all the other people that were on there. So
Yeah, Afro, Aesop Rock, Rhapsody. I mean, a lot of. I mean, that record
Aesop
label.
Rock, Aesop Rocky, both of them.
Yeah, the Roots. I mean that. But they. I mean that label's legendary. Like it's one of those labels that they're so important to Minnesota. They're like local music scene. And I mean it was a first class experience. Like it. And I remember I drug you out there for. Well, I didn't drag you. We went to go see that, but I was like, hey, I'll buy the tickets. Just come to see Zach Brown, and that was even a fun time at Target
What?
Field.
Well,
And
I think that was the deal. It was like Nolan, if you go, we'll go see Zach Brown. Like
yeah,
I think that was the deal, and you were like, okay. And I think after that it was like all right. Um,
and it was, I think it was right after Prince died, and I just remember seeing Minneapolis. Every building was lit up in purple, like it was like a whole year long, like almost tribute to Prince. And I remember Zach Brown played a Prince song, and I could be wrong, but maybe there was some Prince tributes at the hip hop festival we went to. But it was so cool to see one of my favorite artists, Prince, just be like, hey, the city rides with you. We love you.
the roots of the whole thing. I think they did the whole like Minnesota like medley. They're really good at always making sure they do that. And what there's something else I was gonna say for that. It was just a great weekend overall with that. And yeah, I didn't include any J Rock in my list. I There's so many artists and songs that are popping up while we go through this. All right, here's the next one. So I typed a text to a girl I used to see. saying that I chose this cutie pie with whom I want to be. And I
Oh,
apologize if this message gets you down that I CC'd every girl that I CC'd around town. 2007, my next song is International Players album UGK, featuring Outkast, of course.
one of the best collabs of all time. I mean, UGK legendary, Outcast legendary, both Southern, whether you want to call UGK Southern, I don't know. That's whatever. But I mean, just two powerhouse groups at the same time. And you could tell that they were both competitive, I think you could say, with their verses, being like, because they knew how legendary each member was. And they just, every single verse on that song is yeah, I mean, it almost just gets better and better and better. Like Andre doesn't really even have like a rap verse. His is more of like a spoken poetry, but it's still it kicks off the song and it's iconic. I mean, yeah, you saying the lyrics right there, just yeah. I think we can all vision the music video, the fur coat, it's beautiful.
Sure.
Love it.
Sure. If we sat down and made a list of perfect quote unquote hip hop songs, I think this would be on there when you look at just production and verses and rapping and the music video. I think it's an example of a perfect hip hop song. No such
I
thing, but it's
I
the
agree.
closest thing to it.
I agree, and it starts off sounding very Outcast, like Andre style. The beat doesn't really kick in, and then once the beat kicks in, it is so UGK. It hits you to the bones with just that like Houston grimy, dirty sound, and then Big Boy kind of comes in and does the verse over like a Houston sounding thing. It's I mean it's so iconic. It's one of the best. Like they're convincing Andre to not go through with it.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean we'll move on, but between us, I mean we listen to that song so much. It's just there's so many memories, but yeah, I include it because it's amazing. It's an amazing song.
Mhm.
You're next.
I'm gonna go with a group that I heard of because I was into those YouTube videos about albums of the year. And I had known of Killer Mike, but he came out with an album called Rap Music. And then the very next year after Rap Music came out, which I was a huge fan of, but it was produced by LP. The very next year, Run the Jewels debuts in 2014. And man, I'm just going with the title track, Run the Jewels, from that first album. It was, I mean, LP is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Uh, it's hard to it's hard to say much more about him. I mean, he creates a certain sound, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, uh l- my love of monogamous producers, if I'm using that word correctly, just the idea of having one producer, two rappers, one audio engineer, all of that. We've mentioned Bonnaroo a lot. We did see them in
Mhm.
2015. Um, I forget what I forget what shows were right around that, but I know I have it written down somewhere. And I can remember just if I'm thinking of that song right now, I can remember um oh it wasn't. But I can remember finishing a show at Oyster Bar. We were opening for Funky Butt Brass Band and Run the Jewels came on right after we finished the show, and I were just that sticks in my mind for some reason. But it wasn't the title song actually. It was Close Your Eyes and Count to right.
Yeah,
It was actually that one. Um, but yeah, very disruptive. I thought in the hip hop community when it came out, and loved Killer Mike. I kind of wish he would be quiet on some social issues sometimes. I really do. Like I just don't agree with him all the time, but I don't care. because that doesn't take anything away from the music part of it. Just great group. I've enjoyed all of their albums. I've enjoyed every project they've come out with.
Yeah, I mean, every single one that came out after that first one was just it was such a unique sound. Wasn't mainstream, but it broke. I wouldn't say it broke into the mainstream as far as things you'd hear necessarily on the radio, but it definitely broke into like the mainstream of people that are following, what's hot and yeah, love that stuff.
So wait, that was yours, right? Okay, I keep having something else to add, but let's just move on. All right.
Yep.
So my the next song is from the band Disturbed. Do you have any idea what song I'm gonna choose? Disturbed.
Outside or no? Is that, I think it's stained. I don't no, I don't know.
So I actually didn't know this because it's Disturbed. It's not my band. I'm choosing Glass Shatters.
Okay.
2000. Glass Shatters, and that is Stone Cold Steve Austin's theme music.
Oh, I
That's
didn't
what I'm talking
realize
about.
they made his theme
Glass
music.
Shatters, right? So I wasn't sure if you. I wanted to see if you knew it because I didn't know who actually made Stone Cold Steve Austin's iconic
I would have
glass
thought
shattering
that was.
music.
I thought that would have been like what Jim Jeffries or whatever his name is. I don't know. I could be wrong. That could be someone else's name, but I think that's a comedian actually. I just kind of thought that was like an in-house thing that the production made, but iconic as hell.
So what do you think? It doesn't have to be disturbed, obviously, but when you hear the glass shattering, all that, like what do you think of in your mind?
My favorite wrestler ever. I mean, gosh, Stone Cold had me. I mean, he was so important to the Attitude Era. It was they were transitioning from kind of like goofy superhero type wrestlers from the mid '90s, early '90s, and it was kind of the intro of. Don't want to get too deep on wrestling here, but it was the introduction of like, hey, we don't care what you say, we're rebellious, we're badasses, and it was the guy that came out like to drink beer and didn't give a crap what people thought. And when I'm thinking about wrestling, it makes me smile. Like, I mean, I have other favorite wrestlers from that era, but it was such a fun. And I didn't watch a whole lot of wrestling other than that era, but it always brings a smile to my face. And I'll still every once in a while YouTube videos. And I mean, you could have a crowd that was just uh, doing their own thing, and then that glass shatters, and the whole place. Talk about pops.
Yeah.
That whole place would everybody would get up and be like, yeah,
Yeah.
Has to be. I wish I could have saw that pop live. That would have been an incredible experience.
I've been watching Maven's channel recently. You remember Maven? He was the Tough Enough winner, season one.
Yeah, yeah.
He
I've seen a couple of his videos where he talks about like
yeah.
the inner side of the business.
Yeah, he's a bigger YouTuber than he ever was wrestler, frankly.
Oh yeah, he was super
Uh,
deadly.
he was talking about the beer truck uh, thing with Steve Austin, and apparently Steve Austin was like, "I have a truck. Can't I just drive my own truck?" And they were like, "Steve, it's a beer truck. Like, do we have to explain it anymore? It's a beer truck." Like, that's funny. It's like, of course we got to do it. Um,
And then you get the visual of Vince acting like he's drowning, like
so iconic, just
yeah,
so
that's great.
iconic.
I like that little left turn there. That was awesome. I
Yeah.
had no idea that was Disturbed.
No
I
idea
just
until
thought that was
I
like
had no
the
idea
in-house.
until I looked it up. I was just looking up like best wrestling, and I didn't want to include John Cena because we've just done that
That's
too
him.
much. We've just done it too much.
That
um,
was after my time anyway too. That's when I started. Like everybody knows who he is, but I wouldn't have much to say about Cena. I'd be like, yeah, I mean, I know who he is and he's iconic, but I don't really have much to add with him.
what's your next one?
Um, man, I got a couple of things here. I I went through it, and you probably remember this phase. It was probably my freshman year in high school. I went through a big Weezer phase where I thought maybe they were like my favorite band, but there's I love the Muppets and Keep Fishing for me. That music video,
Mhm.
man, when you combine the Muppets and one of my favorite bands at the time, Keep Fishing, iconic to me. Just every time I see that video, you know.
Uh, yeah, I think this is one where you'd have more than me, but I did
Mm.
have "Say It Ain't So" as an
Yeah,
alternate,
there was
and
definitely more iconic songs I could have come up with, but it just that music video with the Muppets, it just stuck to me.
yeah, right, because I'm probably more of a Muppets fan. I love the Muppets, and you were a
Well,
Weezer fan, and I mean, I've already transitioned into it, but I can remember you calling me at the Weezer concert and listening to "Say It Ain't So."
yeah,
And I couldn't really hear it, but you were like, listen, like whatever, and I could kind of hear
on my
it.
flip phone or my Nokia, probably.
Right. So I did have them on here as an alternate, as like one that like Weezer was not a band that I really listened to, but Saint Ain't So was a just a song that I had learned on guitar. Yeah, I certainly liked a few of their songs as
Mhm.
well, and yeah,
Yeah, that was more of a personal pick. I felt like going into a time and place, I had to include that just because I remember like it was like summer vacation TRL, and that's when I saw it, and I was like, okay, like it's one of those songs where it's like not a whole lot where I could do time and place, but that was definitely one of them where I'm like time and place, TRL, Carson Daly,
oh yeah,
the Muppets, which Doctor Teeth is my favorite.
hell yeah, hell yeah. I mean, I remember that video very well. Uh,
Yeah,
not like where I was when it came out, but yes. All right. My
yeah,
uh
yeah. Go ahead.
2013, Busta Rhymes, Q-Tip, Lil Wayne, Kanye. You already know what the song is. Thank You by Busta Rhymes. I was surprised to find out this song was actually produced by Busta Rhymes. Because
Wow.
I always thought it was a Kanye track, considering Kanye doesn't really say anything on it. So I thought
Yeah, he
maybe
just
he
and
produced it.
neither does Lil Wayne, right? They both just kind of introduce. It was Q-Tip. Lil
Yeah.
Wayne introduces Q-Tip and Kanye introduces Buster, or vice versa. It could have been vice versa, but yeah, they just kind of introduced them, and then wow,
Right,
yeah,
right, right, right. Kanye basically says and feels good, right. That's pretty much it.
yeah.
So 2013 again, what do you think of when you think of the song?
That is one of my favorite instrumentals ever. Uh, man, that was awesome. And it was it was kind of in that time where Buster Rhymes sort of had a comeback. He, not to say that he he went a little inactive for a little bit, but it was kind of like okay, Buster Rhymes is like a late '90s or early '90s, late '90s, 2000s guy, and then the right people kind of put him on, and a whole different generation of people were like, and then obviously there's like that Chris Brown song where Buster goes crazy, where everybody was like, yeah, but all I think about when I think of that is like the Buster Rhymes like people learning about him. And for me, that was awesome. And when I first moved into the city, he did a free show at Soul Taco. And boy, that was awesome. And he played that song. And I was sitting there at a free show in the city, a block away from my apartment that I'm at now. And it was just so, yeah. Yes, so good.
Right, right. And there's just sometimes where people get together and it feels like fan service. Like I can remember when like Anderson Paak collabed with like Justin Timberlake, and I was like, oh my God, like I never asked for my two favorite artists to like come together, but here we are. But it's like, oh yeah, like why doesn't just Busta Rhymes and Q-Tip get together and make something? Like just put them in a room and something good is bound to come out.
And they had a lot of history with collabing too, back in the day, But just to see them kind of almost both make a comeback on that, because that was right around when Kanye signed Q-Tip to his label, and I mean, let's be honest, Busta Rhymes and Q-Tip not really on the radio or impacting new ears at that point, and it's just like it was a moment where it's like, okay, people are gonna hear these guys that have never probably heard them before and be like become fans, and it's yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Right, right. All right. We are at over an hour. Are you still good?
Yeah, do you want to do like two more each?
Oh, I'm good to do whatever. Let's just keep rolling, okay?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, I'm gonna go with Backstreet Freestyle 2012, Good Kid, Bad City, Kendrick Lamar. That album had me in a death grip.
Favorite Kendrick song still. It's tough because there's a lot of Kendrick songs that I think are deeper. Uh, like Untitled Five.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, what's called Dying of Thirst. Sing About Me. Like there's a lot of songs that have really deep meanings for Kendrick songs that I care about a lot. But Backseat Freestyle continues to just be my favorite song, my favorite just yeah, that's a is it Dope Boy? Who is that? Whoever produces that one. Um
Hit Boy, Hit Boy.
Hit Boy, whatever it is. I've listened to Dope Man. That's why I thought that. Right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Any of his beats, just get you really pumped up and everything. I can remember here the one time I saw Kendrick live, going crazy. Like when we saw him live, he did uh he did Money Trees into Backseat Freestyle and just yeah, I was just locked in that whole show, so still one of my
yeah.
favorite songs and great like iconic skit to that music video too.
I think we
Yeah.
know we all know what part you're talking about there. It
Yeah.
was Shrine. Yeah, it was like a kind of like a club banger, but also it had like deep lyrics for those who listen to lyrics. But he talks about being vulnerable and you know being shy around a woman that maybe he thought was unattainable, and a lot of people can relate to that and be like, you know what, I'm getting big. I've got some money, and you know what? I'm gonna let everybody know who's here. And it's just kind of it's just such a cool song. I probably have more, maybe other ones that are my favorite, but it's hard to tell. That one just stuck out to me when I was putting this list together. I mean,
It's
from
yeah.
from the start of the song, it's one of those songs that catch your ear the second that first beat hits. You know?
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is reflective of that era of Kendrick. Uh, Certainly had something to prove with Good Kid, Mad City,
Yeah, it's coming up.
and
It's coming up party. Yeah,
yeah, and so that was more of a song that came out at the time of like, hey, I'm not there yet, but I'm on the way, and it's been so cool. Like, I love the fact that I really think when it comes to California rap, Tyler said it recently, but I really think it is Kendrick and then Tyler for for California rap right now, and I'm so happy that we're at that point. Um,
hmm
pretty unique too.
and the fact that he had Dr. Dre backing him, that's that's a big name to. I mean, that whole album, you'd hear like Dr. Dre drop in here and there and be like,
Yeah, that's always crazy. That's always crazy to me. I mean, he produced the last couple Anderson Paak albums, and just getting that call would be crazy. I assume that no one really says no to Dr. Dre. If he's like, I want to produce your album, it's like,
yeah, of course.
all right, like
Everything he does like turns into gold for the most part.
I still got some good ones on here. number 12 for me is going to be what I think should have been the title to this album, and that is Crawling in the Dark by Hoobastank, 2001, off of The Reason. I mean, we know The Reason is like the big pop song of that album, but Crawling in the Dark is a legit banger. So,
Yeah,
so what do you think when you think Hoobastank?
that that brings me to a certain place in time. That brings me to a certain time where it was like first starting to talk to girls, this and that. Just so many memories of them and other bands. But like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I had a neighbor that lived down the street that would burn me albums, and Who Was Think was on that list, and that one I had so much. I played that so much, that whole album. But yeah, yeah, Crawling in the Dark is a good one.
All right, I was trying to remember how I felt when I listened to this in high school. It came out before I was in high school, but that's when
Yeah,
I remember listening to it. I try to was this one of the albums I listened to where I thought I was being rebellious? Because there was certainly a lot of that when I was in high school. Like,
it, for me, it was like Hoobastank and Linkin Park were kind of like a package duo when it's like you finally are able to like go spend the night at your friend's house and we're gonna stay up late. It's like it just reminds me of like my first little bit of freedom. Not the freedom was limited, to a point back then, being our age, but it just kind of reminds me of like, hey, I'm breaking out of my cage, and we're gonna talk to women, and you know, my parents they're so lame or whatever. Not that I ever thought that, but like I can do what I want, and it was right there in that wheelhouse.
still a song I listen to quite often. Some
Yeah.
reason why I've been going back to it. So yeah, I still have a few songs I want to get to. So hey, you go next.
Okay. I'm gonna go with. I got a couple I want to go with. I'm gonna go with Country Grammar. We're both from St. Louis. Seeing Nelly on the stage like that with all the jerseys, take it away.
Sure. It's third grade, fourth grade. I can remember it. I mean, it goes all the way back to like when my family first moved back to St. Louis. And I remember Nelly first hearing about him because my sister was working at the Point Rec Center
Mm,
and Country Grammar had just come out. It was before the album came out, and he was there with other St. Lunatics playing basketball. It was a big thing at the time. And my sister had come home and told me about it. I'd never heard of him at the time. I can remember getting Country Grammar. Um, such a it's such a big thing when I was like in fourth grade. Like it's just so crazy that that those were like the songs that all the kids were singing. Like it was not a time when it was like TikTok or like social media. It was just like very much connected. So I can remember singing it in class. I can remember some kids not having the uncensored version of it. And if you had the uncensored version, that was really cool. It was in the time of hit clips. Remember hit clips?
oh yeah.
Um, which were like horrible quality, but you could get them from
Yeah.
McDonald's and it played like one song, free MP3
Yeah.
player.
Oh, I had
So
Britney Spears and NSYNC on hit clips from McDonald's. I remember that.
right, right. So I can remember listening to that whole album a ton. It introduced me to a lot of just hip hop culture. Introduced me to like Cedric the Entertainer. Just I can remember listening to it and trying to like figure out what it all meant because I was like, what the hell does country grammar even mean? Like he's from St. Louis. St. Louis is in the country. And he actually did do things with country music later on in his life. So,
Yeah. It
um,
for me it was like I think what I interpreted country grammar to be was like St. Louis is a city, but it's also in a very red area, like outside of the city. And I think what I remember the first about Nelly was like his nursery rhyme style of sing rap, and also just like the first time I can ever remember anybody from St. Louis being on the map. It was a song that was legitimately on the radio, and we're hearing about like Natural Bridge Road and Plaza Frontenac and all these places that I've heard of.
Chesterfield. Yep.
Yeah, Chesterfield, and it was like I can't really remember if anybody from St. Louis before then, like on the in my lifetime of that up to that point, that was just like so like big. Like obviously you've got like everybody in New York, like 50 Cent and everybody thinks about New York and LA, but like it was like this is crazy that one of the biggest artists right now is just singing about, whether it's videos, and all the sports teams here were good at the same time too. Like you would have the Lunatics and Nelly in like Blues jerseys, Rams jerseys, Cardinals jerseys. It was such a awesome time to be from St. Louis in that early 2000s. Like the Rams just were successful still, and it's just yeah, it was it made a lot of St. Louis people proud to be here.
Right, right. I mean, I can remember first time getting the album, being in my room, laying down my bed, and hearing like Plaza, Chesterfield, and like getting like whiplash from like hearing that, where it's like, whoa, hold on, like
And and then they would have like athletes in their music videos too. You'd see a Nelly video and like Tori Holt's there or Marshall Falk's there. You know, it's like, oh man, these are the people I root for, and yeah, it was just such a lot of pride from being from here, and it was like, hey, this isn't just like some local stuff that only locals are hearing. This is like people that I like and athletes that I like, and it's on like MTV and everybody's singing this, and it was so cool.
okay, cool. A slightly well, it's Nelly. He's not that bad. He doesn't he did like a Trump thing at one point, right? He's pretty like he there's not too much controversy surrounding him, right?
He's probably just. I think with Nelly, he's just gonna probably at this point take money where money's being given to him, and
Yeah.
I would I would look too much into if he
And he
supports.
doesn't live in St. Louis that much, blah blah blah. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So, um 2006 is is Take a Bow the Muse song that you always used to listen to?
Oh,
Or
I thought you were going Rihanna there for a second, which is one that I thought about putting on my list.
oh,
I love that song, but no, yeah, I was into Muse big for probably 2 or 3 years. Not so much anymore, but I still every once in a while go listen. And yeah, they had some really cool instrumentals. Like they were very experimental, and I think what got me into Muse was like, whoa, like they're doing some things that I've never heard before. But yeah, yeah, take a
the,
bow by Muse. Yeah, I
take,
listened to
take a
that a
bow,
lot.
right? Or right, right,
Yeah,
right. That was I was going through like all the songs in the album yesterday. I was like, I know it's this album. I can't remember which one it was, but
yep.
but
Take a
I,
bow. Synthesizers, I'm a sucker for. When you go crazy on synthesizers, love it.
right. And I can remember uh, my buddy Andrew driving me to school one day and listening to the Point Radio, and you popped on and you
Yeah, I called
requested
in.
"Take a Bow" by Muse, and I was like, "This is Nolan." 'Cause I was like,
Yeah.
I know Nolan likes the song, and then they're like, "Okay, cool. What's your name?" Nolan. Okay, it's like, oh, it is.
I kind of forgot about that. Yeah, I remember being such a fan for that a couple of years period, and I was just like, back in the day, it was like radio stations. They would, for the most part, be able to take your call. Sometimes not; it would be jammed up. But I just remember being like, okay, on my way to school, I'm gonna give it a shot, and they answered. I was like, oh man,
Yeah,
I'm on the
yeah.
air.
It's so crazy. That's pretty much just how it was. Like, uh, I yeah, and like the fact that you would actually call in to hear a song. Like, I want to hear this song instead of being like, okay, boop, like play the song, right? Like you actually would call into a radio show. I mean, I can remember. I can remember when I was in elementary school. I called into Smash's radio show because
Yeah,
my
I
parents
remember him.
my parents are well were I'll say now were friends with Smash. Smash band played at Hard Rock Cafe, which my dad was the manager of at the time. I can remember calling, being 8 years old. It was my mom's birthday, calling the radio station, and they just picked up like, "Hey, you're on the air." Like that's it.
Yeah.
And spending like 5 minutes on air on the radio talking to Smash when I was like 8 years old. Just
What's so funny to me is a little bit of a tangent. I'll keep it short. But uh, years later, when I ended up doing broadcasting school, I ended up like being taught by a lot of these guys that I would be like here every day and sometimes call into, and it was like 10 years down the road. I'm like, oh, I used to call you on the radio. They'd be like, oh, okay, cool. And then they were teaching me like lessons on how to like cut in and out of commercial breaks and cut commercials. I was like, wow. And then you kind of realize like radio is not as big as you think it is. But you know,
uh,
when you're younger, you think radio is like that's the big thing. You know?
yeah, yeah. Broadcasting is so cool, but it's like, man, like if if someone wanted to get into broadcasting now, it's like, do you just do journalism at this point? Like what do you like? Because you got to be like either really lucky or like be a family member or like just
Yeah.
be or just work harder than everyone else. Just like
I kind of found out that you either have to have like a Syracuse or Mizzou journalism degree or have like something really special with your voice, or you're just gonna graduate from that program and end up in like the middle of nowhere doing the overnight news. And that was one thing where I was like, okay, this probably isn't for me, because I had known a lot of people, and I knew a couple people that ended up on big stations in St. Louis, but I, for the most part, people are going to work for not a lot of money, and it was depressing. And yeah, I don't know. Radio is kind of dying. It is what it is, but it's hard to compete with, the media landscape the way it's set up now.
yeah, which is why I just enjoy doing just doing it for free now. If it comes to a point where I can make a portfolio out of it, then that's cool. Let's move
Mhm.
ahead. I will skip a couple of my songs maybe, but I still got a couple I want to do. So, what do you got next?
Let's go, Miss Jackson's Outcast.
Okay, more Outcast. I can remember when I was in fifth grade, we got to spend the night at the St. Louis Zoo, which
Mhm.
was one of the coolest parts of elementary school. Just I just thought it was so cool. It was like the first time I got to do like a whole big school overnight kind of thing. And being at the zoo after close was just kind of cool as well. I can remember like being in that like area where we had breakfast and like all the kids were like singing that song. It was like I think it had just like come out at that time. And that's what I remember. It's like just being like in elementary school at the time when it came out because yeah, Outcast was just like I can pinpoint parts of middle school, whether it was like Heart Below, Speaker Box, or college, listening to like General Patton, Big Boy. So yeah, yeah. What do you
Yeah,
think of when you?
I don't. I mean, I really don't have anything too deep on this. It's mainly for me just one of those nostalgic hits where, what, like I said earlier, whether it's like Cosmic Bowling, seeing it on the screen somewhere, like at the like the rollercade, like skateport or whatever. Just it's one of those things where I don't think even when it came out, I knew exactly what they were talking about, but it was such a catchy song. I just remember being on the playground, being like, "I am for real," not
Hmm.
knowing really what was going on, but it's just like, "Hey, I'm a kid, and man, this song is awesome."
Right.
And like the music video was great with all the dogs and everything else. It was just didn't have a deep meaning for me. It was like, yep. That
Yeah.
was an awesome time.
Was always an Outcast fan, and then as I got older, just became a bigger Outcast fan. It's just
Mhm.
there's so much good stuff there. It's
I,
just
I,
there's
I feel like with Outkast for me is you kind of get in ground level with their songs like Miss Jackson and Hey Ah. And I probably didn't know a lot about Outkast before those songs, but once you get in and then you deep dive on their catalog, you're like, whoa, like those are the radio songs. Like, and then you deep dive on the Outkast, you're like, this is like what hip hop heads and like. It's not always the songs that were like the number one hits, but you realize like how awesome and deep they go. You know.
yeah, yeah. All right, let me skip around. How about Black Hole Sun,
Oh,
Soundgarden, 1994? Not a
well,
song that I necessarily listen to.
so I love that song. My sister got me into it. I remember hearing it on the point. What really got into it, my sister had a PlayStation 2 game called SingStar. It was like a karaoke thing. And that's what really kind of got me into it. And the reason I still kind of listen to it here and there. Also, I really respect Chris Cornell. Um, I mean, his what he did as far as rock with Soundgarden and then um, Soundgarden and then I'm drawing a blank right now. Audio Slave.
Yeah, yeah.
Both really iconic, awesome rock bands from that like mid the late '90s, early 2000s. Um, he's what I consider a frontman in an era where frontmen were kind of dying, if you know what I'm saying. Um, a lot of bands never necessarily don't always have like a distinguishable, oh, that's the guy, you know, like the Chili Peppers or Dave Grohl and Foo Fighters or Kurt Cobain, whatever. And it was just like you heard Chris Cornell and you were like, that's Chris Cornell, and he's probably bringing it. And I mean, Black Hole Sun, the music video is so trippy.
Hmm.
It's just such an iconic song. I love it. I think it belongs in the, if not the top 100, maybe top 50 rock songs. I'm sure I could name 50 more that I like more, but what it kind of did for its era, especially when that grunge era was kind of coming through, I think it's really important. I love it a lot.
Cool. Yeah, I want. It's more of the connection with you. Like if I think about this song, I think about hanging out with you. So that's the only
Yeah.
connection. That's the only connection I had. All right. Wow, this is tough. All right. Well, keep going. What's your next one?
I'm going to go Drive by Incubus,
Hmm.
1999.
Hmm. I thought of including some Incubus, but I wasn't sure about which one to include. So, Drive is the song, and Make Yourself is the album that got me into Incubus. I can remember going to Chesterfield Mall and going to Slackers and trying to find the album, and then I remember not being able to find it, and then getting a copy of it from my friend, and then um, when I was like 15, like around like a sophomore in high school, I got a copy of Science,
Mm-hmm.
and then that got me into just listening to every Incubus
Yeah.
album after that, because Science became and is still one of my favorite albums of all time.
Mm-hmm.
It's an album I listen to every summer. It's an album that I listen to, and I'm still like, how the hell did they make this album? Sometimes,
And
um,
they were so creative with their sound. Yeah, for me, I won't say it's probably not even like my top five favorite Incubus song, but it's so iconic the way it starts with that acoustic guitar and his first verse into it. I mean, it's arguably, if you look at like radio hits, it might be their number one radio hit.
I think so.
Like Make Yourself like a little more,
Make
but
yourself
like it's
maybe.
just, and then obviously we saw them a lot live, and they're one of those bands where dude, he is so good live. You always go to these shows where it's like, oh man, this guy stinks. But Incubus, I mean, yeah, I mean, They always sounded just as good, pretty much, as they did on recording. And then when you add that element of live show, they're one of those bands where you could argue they might even sound better live when they're riffing around. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Drive is great. I never have a problem with if a song is popular or it becomes popular and it's a song that I like. Uh, I've seen Incubus 4 times. They do Drive every time. I'm sure, but I also got to see a lot of other cool songs. Some rare songs as well from them live. Like I got to see the acoustic version of Certain Shade of Green when they did their anniversary, whatever that tour was. One of my favorite groups, like Incubus, 311, Red Hot Chili Peppers. You could just those three
They're kind of in
bands
that
for
same.
me.
They're kind of
Altern
in that same category. Yeah,
Yeah,
the alternative. You hear them
right.
on the point. Yeah,
Right,
yeah, for
right.
sure.
Red Hot Chili Peppers ended up getting produced by George Clinton, and then Red Hot Chili Peppers, I'm sure, influenced early Incubus, Fungus Among Us, and then yeah, 311 is just right in that same category
Hmm.
where it could have been like a P-Funk project. So
They're all yeah, like you said earlier. They're all like really good summer. Like you think of summer hot weather amphitheaters, you think of those bands, and maybe it's because we saw them live. But even if we didn't go to any of those shows live, it's still something you think about. Like rolling your windows down, the weather's warm but kind of cool still at night, and you're just like, "Yep, this is some summer music right here."
yeah, I mean, I feel very fortunate that before I left the country, I get to, some starts 311 many times, Incubus many times, Chili Peppers once, and feel very
Got to
fortunate
knock.
about.
We're fortunate that we got to knock off a lot of things off our list. Bonner certainly helped, but we got to knock off a lot of things on our list that I would have never dreamed of just from going to music festivals with good lineups. You know.
Well, I was gonna skip this one. They did open for 311 1 year, but I had Santeria on my list. Sublime
I thought about doing that too.
1996. We did see Sublime with Rome 1 year,
Yep.
uh, and I put it on my list because it's mostly just hanging out in the basement. It's mostly summertime. Yeah,
It's kind of rebellious rock. I'd like to see them with Brad Knowles' son. Apparently, he's fronting the band now, and he sounds just like his dad. We call it what it is, whether it's a cover or not, whatever. But apparently, he sounds like, I mean, spot on. I mean, Sublime alone, that song is so iconic, but Sublime alone is also kind of in that same category we were just talking about. It's just like, I always think of Summer kind of a little bit rebellious, talking about like drugs and freedom and drinking and doing your own thing. And it was always kind of like, yeah, I mean, I will always go back. Probably listen to. I listen to Sublime probably once a year, and I don't listen to them a lot, but there's always a time and a place like spring going into summer. I feel like okay, let's give Sublime some love.
cool. Well, okay. I got two more. I did some alternates just in case, but do you have any more?
I've got two more and then one honorable mention.
Okay. All right. What you got?
So I'll just go. I'll go Starboy 2016. I really loved that the weekend. I've always been a fan of him from his early stuff. Not necessarily like one of my favorite artists of all time, but when I do listen, I'm like, a lot of times it's good stuff. But I love that he kind of brought back Daft Punk, that group into, and a lot of people learned who Daft Punk was that maybe didn't. And I just love that album and that song and that the way that Daft Punk kind of like their production kind of interwove with all that. And it's not like one of my favorite songs ever, but when I hear it, I'm not skipping it. What about you?
I the weekend's for sure talented, and just like we've been saying over and over
Yeah.
again, we have seen him perform live before. We saw him close out Bonnaroo, which is cool.
Yeah.
But he's not. Uh, I like him as a singer. I don't like him as a personality. I really don't. I really that's
I
I just
agree with
don't.
that. I agree with
I
that.
just
He comes
I
off
just
as too tormented.
I think I'm just maybe I'm too old, but like I'm just kind of past. I think I'm just kind of past that point. It's like if certain artists came out today, I wouldn't think it was. I would think the same thing. But Daft Punk,
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of. And I mean, I even saw that they did a Daft Punk did a festival in Wisconsin in 1996, the year before Homework came out, and there was no media ever released from it until a few years ago. And this past year, uh, they they found another half-hour video from this festival. Like, could you imagine seeing Daft Punk in 1996? No internet, no like. The only way you would have heard Daft Punk before this is if you were in England at a house show.
That I mean
And
that's awesome.
and and like the first song they go into is The Funk. And imagine being in high school and creating a song that you collect royalties on 30 years later. Because I was watching an NBA playoff game the other day. They go to commercial, they play The Funk by Daft Punk. Money right in your pocket, right? Um, so that's just
And
I couldn't
and
imagine.
they're German, right?
They're French. They're French. Sorry,
French. Okay.
I said England, but
Well,
they're
no,
performing
well,
in England.
that's, no, no, that's not what I was questioning it. But for a group, whether they're like Germany or France or whatever, a lot of those groups are like really big out there, but they almost kind of stay there. But they're massive in their own country. But for a Daft Punk to like explode, kind of like all over the world, it takes a lot for like a lot of especially for DJs like it takes a lot to get over here and become mainstream worldwide. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like, I kind of agree with what you're saying when it comes to the weekend. It's not my favorite, but it was kind of cool to see like Daft Punk get shine once again. Because at that point, 16, it probably been I don't know 04, 03 since like Daft Punk really was on the scene heavy. So it was kind of cool. I'd mainly go with that because it was kind of cool to see them get some shine, kind of much later into their career.
Right, they had broken up in I guess it was 2021, and they clearly were working on some new music
Mm.
during between like 2016 and then, but I guess it was just none of the they didn't like any of the music enough to release any of it, which makes sense because knowing seeing how Daft Punk worked, like they would just work out songs until they thought they were perfect, quote unquote, and then release them. But but yeah, what an iconic group. If you haven't seen it yet, it's ad well you have I think you have YouTube Premium, but it's ad free
Mm.
on YouTube. Fred again did a whole 2 hour show with Thomas Bangalter from Daft Punk. If you haven't seen it, at least watch the first part of it because
Mm-hmm.
Thomas Bangalter does this intro into One More Time, and it's so funny because when you start hearing the iconic like the dun
Dun, dun,
dun
dun. Yeah,
dun, you that shows the crowd. Everyone in the crowd is like this,
they realize
like
what's going on.
everyone has their hands on their head, like oh my god. And then you see, it goes to Fred again, and Fred is over on the side doing the same thing, like I can't believe this is happening right now.
Yeah,
Because
you're gonna have to send me that one in messages. I
yeah,
want to check
yeah.
that out.
Because Daft Punk did less than 200 shows in their entire life. So
Wow,
if you saw a Daft Punk show like Lollapalooza 2007,
rare.
you were really lucky. You were
That's awesome.
Coachella, Lala, whatever it was. Okay. Okay, let me do an unserious one and then one that's super nostalgic. Watch Out by Two Chains, 2015.
Okay, yeah, yeah. That reminds me of the coloring book tour in Chicago that we went to. I know this is a lot very heavy with things that we saw live,
I
but
mean,
I mean,
it's our episodes. That's
we,
why we're doing it.
you know what? We saw a lot of really cool stuff live. So, oh yeah, I mean, Two Chains is definitely not one of my favorite artists, but he's one of those artists that he'll come out with like a single or something, and it's just like, how do you not like this? It's like he's never somebody I would listen to like an album front to back, right? But he'd come out with a single, and you're just like, God, I'm singing this like all week now.
Yeah. I remember. I mean, this is at Coloring Book Show. This is after the surprise Kanye performance, so the whole crowd's loose at this point. Um,
Yeah.
but I remember. I mean, we're way up at the top of. I'm gonna call it Soldiers Field, but we're way up at the top, and I can remember that song.
So what? We're at White Sox.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Whatever we're gonna call it. But I can remember, like the guy next to me, like me and him being like, watch out, little, watch
You
out,
get
and
mad. I'm getting
and
rich.
it was just fun because like my family, my parents would always discourage ever doing that, but just for one instance, like calling the guy next to me a B word was kind of fun. Like, and he called me a B word too. Like it was like
I my roommate would come home back in the day. He'd be like, open the front door, and it was stuck in his head. It was stuck in my head. He'd just be like, "You getting mad? I'm getting rich," and I'd be like, "You getting mad?" It's just so freaking catchy.
all right, I guess I'll
It's
make.
a brain rot song for sure, but like it would be in my head for like 2 weeks straight.
Yeah. All right, I got one. I guess one more. But what you got? What you got?
I'm gonna go with okay. I'm gonna go grinding my clips. I mean lunch table.
That was my alternate one.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, because it's I, I'm always fascinated with how trends were. I'm gonna call it pre-internet because it
Hmm.
was like we had. I mean, there was like AIM, MSN, like there was like things like that, but there wasn't like the same like a trend could happen across the world and then the next day you're doing it.
It would be huge on TikTok now if it came out.
It would be huge now, but it's crazy that if you were middle school or high school, everyone was doing it on the lunch tables or the bleachers, uh,
No.
the beat to this song, and I never knew that everyone had this kind of connection until later on in life when people would talk about, oh yeah, like everyone did that, you know. So it was like a trend that was everywhere, but I didn't know it was everywhere. So yeah, I I I love clips. That's why I chose it, and that's the memory I have. In middle school, uh, kids playing it on the lunch tables, and then it was around the same time that Drumline the movie came out, and all the kids bought practice pads, which I thought was hilarious. It's like
Yeah.
I was in band, and that wasn't a cool thing. Like being in band wasn't cool, but all of a sudden, like you know, like oh, Nick Cannon's got the sickest beats, man. Even though he doesn't,
Yeah.
even though he doesn't really play the drums.
And like for like Pharrell, one of the best. I mean, obviously, I'm a huge Pusha fan, and like clips, they weren't around very long, but maybe 3 albums, I think, maybe four, 3 or 4 albums, but they didn't necessarily like pump a lot of stuff out and then broke up. And they got back together, I think, recently, but I don't know. Yeah, they have a new album, but there was always something about Pusha T and his brother No Malice, and just I mean the Neptunes. I mean the Neptunes are responsible for so many iconic. I mean, whether it's working with Justin Timberlake or just Anybody. I mean, they would collaborate with anybody, and every time the Neptunes would be on something, it was like, this is going to be big.
Yeah, I I think somebody should do. Maybe it's me, but I think somebody should do a book or a documentary on it or something, some kind of research on it, because I think Pharrell might be the most influential artist as far as modern hip hop goes because Pharrell connected the skateboarding culture into hip hop,
Yeah,
and that never stopped. I mean, and then from there you had Odd Future, and then you have all like the grunge rap that happened after that. Um, he created something, he connected something that never really went away. Like skateboarding and hip hop culture is
or
forever
not.
connected. So I
Yeah, and I think you could. I mean, for the longest time, skateboarding culture was almost exclusively like punk rock, and then I don't know if he had handed it beforehand, but like everyone, like going back to Tony Hawk's games, you'd get a couple hip hop songs in there, and then Pharrell. I mean, he did. I mean, Bathing Ape, all these collaborations that were like streetwear that weren't necessarily like targeted for, black culture, but it would be targeted towards this group and this group and this group, and he brought a lot to the table that could bring a lot of people that don't have anything in common together.
yeah, so he's up there. My so that was one of my alternates. My last official one is going to be just the album that was probably our album anthem last year of high school, going into college. I'm choosing "Let the Beat Build" by Lil Wayne, the Carter
I almost put
Three.
that. I almost put that on my list too. Man, my relationship with Lil Wayne is so hit and miss, but I think he had a moment there where he had a death grip on people for at least for a couple albums. For me, it's like one, two, three, and then after that, I don't really care. But I mean, yeah, let the beat build that Kanye. I mean, Kanye was just giving away samples and beats to anybody at that point, like whether it's Common or Rhyme Fest or whatever, John Legend, and man, he was just like elevating his friends. And I mean, you could almost make an album out of his throwaways. That would be an insanely great album by itself. But yeah, let, man, let the beat build. I know exactly what part you're talking about.
Oh, sure,
Who knows? Who
sure.
knows who his ghostwriter was? But that one verse in "Let the Beat Build" is, and yeah, the beat, awesome song. I love it. I love that one.
Sure, sure. I mean, it just there's so many memories of whether it's ending high school or those first like house parties when I got to college or whatever, just cruising around, and that was always our favorite song off the album. It's still the album I go back to, whether it's like Phone Home or Miss Officer or
Repeat or
yeah,
yeah,
right, right. Just
Mr. Carter, that Jay Z collab, that was awesome too.
yeah,
Good
yeah.
album.
Yeah, and he might and ghostwriting. I mean, I don't have a big opinion on that. Like my favorite verse off of "Call Me If You Get Lost," that Tyler the Creator album, is a Lil Wayne verse. I don't know if he wrote it, but he performed it, and it's awesome. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree with you. I don't really care about ghostwriting that much. If you could put something on if you could put something on an album that sounds good,
yeah. Easy E had a ghostwriter
yeah.
technically. So
No.
who really cares, right? Um, so yeah, you have any? I had one alternate, but you had any others?
I've got one alternate, and I wrote this down like mid show, but an album that we listen to a lot, um, the Game album, and I was gonna go with that intro song, but it was when you were living in that under the stairs there in but the my life, the one with Lil Wayne, bring back to
Mm-hmm.
him, like that
I
was a good one. But I kind of make that song, but I kind of have that represent the whole album too, just because that was an album where I liked the game, was never a super fan, but he always had hits. But for some reason, that album front to back, I enjoyed a lot, and I don't know if it was a time and place thing, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I had it not as an alternate, but as one that I had thought of including. And yeah, I don't have much else to say. It's college to me. It reminds me of that time. I had the vinyl to this one, so that's probably why I was listening to it so much. And the game was always in small doses. I can only do so much of that certain theme. Um,
Yeah,
I can't I
he
can't
would have
wake
some
up to
good
it.
production. He'd have some good production, but I agree. Not everything. It was very hit or miss with the game, but I think for me, what caught me was that intro song with DMX, where he's doing like that prayer almost or whatever, and it was just like so DMX. And I think DMX like later sued him. I was like, wait, I didn't understand that lawsuit, but yeah, that one we listened to that one a lot. For some reason, a lot of songs of that one I liked, and for the rest of the game's discography, it's like probably a couple songs here and there that I like. But that I think I enjoyed that whole album from the back.
I'll do a silly alternate one, and then we're gonna end with the Beatles. Actually, so
Okay.
my silly alternate one. Um, what do you think of when you think of the song "Still" by the Ghetto Boys? You know what I'm talking about?
Probably,
It's the song from Office Space where they're smashing the copier. Die
yeah.
mother, die mother.
For some reason, I thought that was oh my gosh, I don't know. Um, Oh yeah, it's not important. I thought it was Scarface for some reason, but I think Scarface was the guy who did the very beginning scene of that movie where he's
Oh,
rolling up
I
the
could be
window.
true when he was in traffic. That could be true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah, I love that.
Because I can remember us rolling around listening to it, but I couldn't remember if it was ironically or if it was
I
because
think it
of
was
Office Space.
probably a little both. I mean, Office Space. It's just a great movie, great
Great movie.
music. Like yeah, like Scarface is one of my favorites, and man, that opening scene where he's rolling up the window, I'm just like,
Yeah.
yeah, I could probably do like three songs with Scarface, but I'm not going to go that deep into it. But yeah, great movie, uh, great soundtrack for sure.
So this is a good way to end it because I had to include at least one more Beatles song, and I'll include it from White Album. That's my favorite one. Uh, I have a particular anecdote with
Can I
Black.
guess?
What
Oh,
what?
never mind. You're gonna say the black. Okay, never mind.
Oh yeah. So White Album, 1968. It's not my favorite one on here, but I chose Blackbird.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna go with Glass Onion because I remember
Oh
one
yeah.
time you told me you liked
That,
that one. That's
yeah.
what I was gonna guess.
That would have been good. That would have been good. Like, just in general, I couldn't have gone wrong with any like song off of here. But you can go. But then I picked this one because um, I was thinking of when I saw Joshua Redmond play at Jazz at the Bistro. He did "Bye Bye Blackbird" into the song "Blackbird" by
That's
the Beatles,
cool
and
transition. Yeah.
I don't think everyone caught on in the room, but when he did that, I was like, "That's super cool." That's kind of the first thought that popped in my mind. But how about you?
I love I love Blackbird. It's such a important song when it comes to like what the political environment was, uh, what was happening. I guess in the mid to late '60s when it was written. I think Paul McCartney is just absolutely. I mean, if there was anybody I'd want to meet, it's him, and his songwriting is just unbelievable. And it's a song about him like telling everybody that listen, everything's gonna be okay, and he's trying to calm down. I don't think it was Bangladesh. I can't remember exactly what country was going through some problems, but it was targeted towards a certain group of people, and it's just to calm them down and be like everything's gonna be all right. It's beautiful. It's one of my favorite acoustic songs. And I think it's a song that a lot of people that don't really know the Beatles know. You know.
Yeah, but still iconic. One of the it's hard to say what are the best compositions. Paul talks a lot about he didn't know music theory and all of that, but he certainly knew what sounds and chords sounded good together. Blackbird is just a badass acoustic song,
And
and
and he was
had to include something off the White Album from this because yeah.
And he was a guy that could jump on like any instrument too. Obviously, he's known for the bass. I wouldn't say he's like one of the best bass players ever. I think he is more of a songwriter with him. But like, there were so many songs where he would jump on the drums or the piano, and I mean, yeah, he Secret Weapon.
Yeah. So let's close it there. That's a perfect way to close it. I knew this was going to go long, so
Yeah,
I
it was fun though.
so I lied to you, but it kept you here. But
Oh, I had a
I
great time. I had a great time. That was a lot of fun.
yeah.
I'll talk.
I mean, we could do this all night. I know we could.
Yeah, I could
So
do another 2 hours of this.
yeah. So thanks so much. Like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. This is coming out during my short break in July. And whenever I come back, we'll be doing some more basketball talk. Nolan, thank you for joining me today. And I will see you guys next time.